hockey, it's every young boy's dream to play high school hockey, possibly even play in a state tournament. The sad reality is it's not a possibility for everyone. I'm Connor Niederding.
And this is Knight Errants, cut from the ice.
I don't know, whenever you're making cuts, I don't know if there's a positive way to do it. I don't know if that's possible. The best thing you try to do is to make sure that no one's blindsided going in, that guys have a good idea going into tryouts where they stand, what their percentages are. With that said, guys are bound to be surprised and hurt, by the decisions, because I think there's a finality to it that no one quite expects to come.
The best player gets the job, and it doesn't matter if you're 8th grade, 9th grade, 10th, or 11th, 12th. We've been doing that for a number of years.
Confusion, anger, sadness, all bundled up. I was pretty bummed because I'd been working really hard for a long time to make the team, and then I got cut right away.
When you're playing at a highly competitive level, those base skills just have to be there, and so we're just looking at highly skilled guys who can do things very, very fast, and it's gotten to a point here at BSM that the quality of player that we don't keep or can't keep has continued to go up, so there's no one there's very few guys we're getting rid of who can't play. They all can play, and they all have some good assets, quite frankly. But can they do it at the speed that we need them to do it at? That's number one. They have to be able to play the game, and then there's those things that are going to separate guys. Those character issues. Are they a good team guy? Are they going to understand their role? Are they good to people? I mean, those sorts of things, and those aren't easy to measure. Those are not easy to measure.
Skating, shooting, passing, those are the main things we look at. And then we also look into team chemistry. Is the kids getting along with everybody else? Or is there going to be a distraction or things like that? I think a big part of being at this school is that a lot of kids come from different schools, almost like a college. And you've got to be able to get along with other people and build a team together.
There's some decisions just comes down to coach's choice that we could debate forever who were the last 2 or 3 guys kept, or why'd you keep this guy or that guy, and it just comes down to a coach's choice. And a lot of times it's just you're just measuring intangibles, and you could just as easily take in this guy and not that guy. And those are probably the most painstaking decisions, because it's one of those things where you can't take everybody, and I've had many of those situations over the years where the last guy kept on varsity, there's 2 other guys I could just as easily kept. At tryouts and by Christmas, the senior is as good as he's going to be. He's not going to get better. The younger player will get better. And so what you see in that senior during tryouts is what you're going to see through the entire year. And so there's just no doubt that the development, again, so when you're trying to decide whether to keep a young guy, an older guy, although I don't consider him an 18 old, but an older player, it really gets down to who's going to be most impactful, at that varsity level. It's a competitive deal, and that's probably the most difficult decision one has, in letting a senior go and taking underclassmen, instead. But those things are pretty. Sometimes they're not obvious to some people, but they're pretty obvious, to the coaches in terms of who's better and who's not. And at the end of the day, if the sophomore's better, you're going to take them. Have someone you've worked with in the summer. There's a person you have in the classroom that you're going to see in the classroom who used to smile and say hi to you, and then in just a matter of 24 hours, they're never going to say another word to you, and I've had that several times.
Me and Mr. Colley have a very close relationship. He actually wrote one of my letters of recommendation for college. We've maintained a really good relationship, and I really respect him.
The hardest part is having that meeting with that kid, and there's a few tears coming down the cheeks and things like that. That's a hard part, and we don't want to be the bad guys. You know, and I'm sure Coach Pauly's the same way.
Because I look at people all the time who I think are just outstanding people, and I have to let them go because they just don't have that skill set, and it really wouldn't be fair to anyone, you know, to keep them. And so that's also part of the learning process. Sometimes you have to get, you know, sometimes you have to get a different dream. Sometimes you have to move on, and sometimes, you know, the thing is hockey's very important to me. I'm proud of the program, but I also know it's a very, very small world. People find out once they leave the school a lot of things that seem so gigantic, you know, aren't. You need to get some perspective too, and that's just, that pain is part of the process, and but no one likes to go through pain.
And we have sent kids down to JV and give you the opportunity to get better. And if something happens throughout the year, an injury, or if you're really working hard down there and that varsity player is kind of not giving me what we thought, then we'll make changes. So the opportunity is there. That's why I hope the kid doesn't quit, because there's always that opportunity. We're all about team here, and I can see why they'd be upset. I like that. They should be mad they didn't make it. And then here's what you need to do to get better. Now prove it to me. Go out there and prove it to me.
I was captain of the football team, but I also was cut from my section roster my senior year. You know, so I've been there. You know, I've been cut. I've gone through, you know, all of that, and so in dealing with the parents, I know I'm not going to help them understand. They're not going to understand.
Obviously, kids are going to be a little salty after they get cut from the team that they've been trying to make their whole lives, but what it really comes down to is if you're good enough for not to make the team. Just know that there's life beyond hockey, because, I mean, at the time it may feel like it's your world and that there's nothing besides hockey for you to do with your life, but I think it really opens your eyes to a lot of possibilities that there are outside of hockey. For me, I would say that getting cut has overall made me a better person, because it's shown me how to endure failure and how to react to it. So I think overall it's been a really positive experience in my life. It still hurts a little bit not to be a BSM hockey player. But being a Flyer is even better, I would say.
Sure. We started the program about 6 years ago. There's a group of kids that either don't make the Manila team or choose not to play for them. And they really wanted to play together, so we pulled the program together to give them a chance to play together as high school teammates.
So it's a limbo between varsity and JV hockey, I would say. Really good competition. You know, it's hard. Practices are tough. Just pretty much the same as BSM varsity. Same atmosphere.
Typically, junior gold A, the level we play at, is typical of the Class A varsity, or definitely better than Double A junior varsity. I believe our team over the last few years beat many of the Class A, single Class A teams in Minnesota, and some of the smaller Double A teams. So it is very competitive hockey. A lot of good players from every team we play against. So it's a very high level of competition. When Coach Pauly makes his cuts, I call every player who was let go from the program on the Sunday prior to BSM tryouts. And some of those conversations, you know, are not very fun. You know, it's no fun to get cut at 8 o'clock at night and have a coach call you the next day. But unfortunately, there's not a lot of time in between the tryouts for junior gold and the end of varsity hockey. So I just basically tell them, you know, hockey ends for all of us at some point. And, you know, this is a fun team. I think the guys like to play together. And it's just, you know, nobody should have to stop playing hockey when they're 16, 17, 18 years old, no matter if you're junior or sophomore or whatever. Just come out and have some fun. And believe me, in 2 or 3 weeks, you're going to forget about it.
But I also was cut from my section roster my senior year. You know, so I've been there. You know, I've been cut. I've gone through, you know, all of that.